Hi guys, my name is Amanda. For those of you that are new to the channel, for those of you who've been here before, welcome back again, and to friends and family, g'day. Rightio, let's talk about books when it comes to pressure canning, water bath canning, or food preservation, whether it be dehydrating or even just putting them in the freezer, certain items. Let's talk about a few different books and the pros and cons of them. In my own personal opinion, I am not affiliated or sponsored or anything by any of these companies. Okay, so these are my opinions, all right? So be kind. Rightio, let's start with the Ball book. All right, the Ball Blue Book of Home Preservation. All right, this book. This one is a really good book for those who are embarking on their journey with water bath canning and pressure canning as well. So it has both of those options when it comes to the food preservation. There's over 500 recipes, it states in here. They are incredibly basic recipes, and they're very black and white recipes that do not allow for you to alter the ingredients at all. There are some tips that are written throughout the book. Every now and then it will say our tip, and it'll give you a little bit of advice when it comes to preparing the recipe. But generally speaking, the recipe is written out. You are to follow it and process it amongst the times that it says to do so, and use the jar sizes it says to do so as well. Doesn't really sort of go any further than that. And I guess if you're very good at following recipes without having to alter them for any reason, then perhaps that's okay. But here we've got different ingredients, and also we have some ingredients that are not available and or very difficult to be available. And so sometimes following a recipe to the letter can be difficult. It does have some nice guides in it. It does have some information, and it does have some very basic what you need to know information when it comes to doing the canning. So it is a reasonably basic book, perfect for, like I said, those that are newly beginning their journey, or those that perhaps have been buying these books for a long period of time and they want to continue to get each of the new recipes that come out. As far as the recipes in the books, out of all of the recipes, I may have used 3 or 4. I don't tend to use the recipes in this book, except for the bolognese. There's a bolognese in here that I have used, and there's some information on a vegetable stock in here that I may have used at some point. But generally speaking, it was just a comparison for times, because I was already making my own vegetable stock using stock that's available in the garden. All right, not a bad book, but you know, probably the lower tier of the books that I would recommend somebody purchasing. If you are thinking that you're going to be doing this long term, and you've maybe done some research already and you have the fundamental understanding of doing water bath canning or pressure canning, then this book is probably going to be more suitable to you, and you're going to get more value for money from this book. A couple of items that are really important. It's a spiral book. Love that. Easy to use in the kitchen. Really, really easy to read index as well. And every recipe has got a section in the index of the book which gives you some tips and information in regards to using the recipe and making the recipes. It has water bath canning recipes in it. It has a lot of recipes with tomatoes, for example. It has conserves in it. It has pressure canning recipes in it. It has some variations, and it has some information on doing seafood, which was very interesting to me as well. Seafood such as fish or shellfish, like clams, for example. And then, of course, there's meat and poultry. But it's a very well-written book, and a lot more information as far as guides when it comes to doing the recipes. So if you want a recipe book, that's a recipe book. All right, that one I like. This one here is also a recipe book, has less recipes in it, but again, they are useful recipes. And this book here has got these little green sections throughout the book, which I find very useful. So information on some steps that can make the journey of pressure canning, or guidelines, especially doing things like making your syrups for doing your fruits. So I could do the fruits, but I may need a particular syrup. And because I might want a light or a medium or maybe a heavy syrup, gives you that guide in there as well, and how to go about making them and how much it makes up. So information like that is more valuable to me than what I found in this book, for example. But that's the Ball books. There's 3 of them that I have, and I do use a little bit out of each of them, but not on a regular basis anymore. It's more so when I'm preparing a recipe and I will be looking to see if there is something very similar that I can follow, and then possibly change a little bit. It does have some information on dehydrating in the Ball Blue book as well, just so you're aware. But speaking of dehydrating, that is the book that I would recommend when it comes to doing the dehydration. It does have an awful lot of information in it. Most important, it has the times as well as the temperatures. And our dehydrator is just a little advantage. It's not an expensive model, but it is got one of the temperatures. Our previous dehydrators were the round dehydrators, and they just had 3 settings, low, medium, and high. These ones have got temperature controls, and so it gives us a little bit more control when it comes to doing the dehydrating of the different fruits and vegetables, and makes a really good dried banana powder as well. So that guy gets used every single day. This is really, really good. It's got lots of information, and it gives you lots of information on storage as well as doing the dehydrating. So that's a really good fundamental book when it comes to using for dehydrating, that I definitely would recommend this particular one. There's a few books that I won't recommend. This one I will. This is one of my top books, okay? So I will put that aside, and that will be in one of my 1 to 5 top books that I have. Alrighty. This guy. If you are new to water bath canning or pressure canning at all, and you've never done it, and you want to dip your toes in, and you're interested in learning some classic recipes as well as some information when it comes to doing water bath canning, and some safety features about water bath and pressure canning, and also about a bit of history on, if you want to do a little bit of reading, then this is really good. And it gives you some information on the racks, for example, and the size of the rack that you need, the depth of the rack, for example, that you need, and why you need to do it, okay? The types of pots that you need, readings and leans. It gives you all of the equipment that you need. No, you don't need a thermometer when it comes to water bath canning. I don't know why that's in there. But it gives you a bit more information, talks about the storage, it talks about the times. So there are some good little guides in here when it comes to doing the food preparation. But the recipes are very basic, okay? Very basic, but very easy to follow for beginners. So you may have come across this book in the past. I've seen this on Amazon a few times. I ended up having this one gifted to me, and although I don't mind it, and I don't mind it because it's large font, all right, so it's easy to read, but as you can see by the state of the book, it's not a particularly well-used book, but it's not that I don't mind it, and I can sit there and read through it, and I can be inspired by certain recipes. I mean, there are plenty of recipes, and I have family members that are new to doing preservation, water bath canning in particular, and this one will be heading to them. Not as a gift, but just as a gift, it's not as a Christmas gift, but a gift. But that one can go to a new pressure canner or somebody else in the new generation of canners. All right. This guy. This one's really good. I really do like this one. This one is well written. It has gorgeous charts in it. Very easy to follow recipes, but they do allow you to do some swapping and changing of ingredients, which is really good. They talk about all of the processing. They talk about filling of the jars. They talk about the times that you need for the processing. So it's a very well written book, especially for beginners or for people that are finding or doing the jump from just water bath canning to possibly pressure canning as well. And so if you've done water bath canning for a long period of time, then you would have some understanding of the principles of canning. And so jumping over to pressure canning, it's not that difficult to do the jump, okay? But it has some good old-fashioned recipes in it, pickles and things like that. So I don't mind this book. It's actually well written. It's a good sized font for me as well. So another tip there as well. Good index, and it comes out with some pretty good recipes, which we've just done this one recently. So, it's a good overall book that does have a number of recipes in it that you will find useful. Are the recipes sort of unique? Not particularly, but they are interesting, all right? Don't mind that one. Don't mind this one either. This one is very good. All right, so this one, if you are interested, this particular book, which is the Homestead and Canning Cookbook, this particular book has got lots and lots of graphs in it, okay? When it comes to your pints and your quart, they are clearly written out along with your altitudes and your times. So very easy to follow. It does have all of the recipes as well as the individual ingredients, so you can use this one as a guide. It also has information on doing your stocks and seafoods, etc., and hot packs and raw packs versus cold packs and things like that. So it is a good book. I don't mind it. It's actually a very nice book and one that I do use on a regular basis. But, you know, once again, it is just another book on the shelf. And it wasn't particularly the most inexpensive book, but it wasn't particularly the most expensive book. But I do like that one as well. So that's in my like pile. What's not in my like pile is this guy. We can do better than this. This one here is pretty old now. I've had this one for probably 20 plus years, and so it's probably had enough. But it has pretty much every kind of food and that you can imagine in it, as well as going through the basic food preparations when it comes to dealing with meats and poultries and fruits and vegetables, etc., things like that. It has some very basic ideas that have been around for a very long time now. We all know about freezing herbs in ice cube trays, for example, things like garlic, you know, that we're easily able to get to. So, you know, this information is probably just more outdated now. And so probably if you come across this one and it's $1, sure, buy it, but it's really not worth spending a huge amount of money on. Some of the old recipe books that have been around, in my case, in my kitchen for over 20 plus years, this one probably over 40 years, this particular one here is a pretty old book and I love it and I still use this one. So if you can find these old recipe books, they are worth their weight in gold because these recipes are getting lost. And so this one has got pickles, relishes, cordials, chutneys, conserves, marmalades, jellies, jams, you name it, it's in it, and it is so simple. It is so simple to follow the recipes. They are short recipes, simple amounts, just easy to follow. So if you can come across any of these little guys, they're gems, keep them. Same as this one, jams and preserves. Again, anybody who makes a lot of jams would appreciate a book, something like that, that is just specifically about jams and preserves. Definitely agree with that one. Here's another one, traditional jams and preserves. This is a very old cookbook, this guy, however, and I do love this one, but it's full of information on sweet and savoury preserves as well, and a lot of these recipes you do not come across anymore. It's a bit cool. All right. Now, the favourites, the Bible, this guy. This one will rank as number 1, all right? So easy to preserve, which has got the cooperative and extension of the University of Georgia. I had to bring this book over. It cost over $100 US, plus on top of that, it cost me an additional probably $40 in shipping to get it brought over, and it took about 6 weeks for it to arrive here, which was a very long time, but it is worth its weight of gold. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of damage to it that it sustained during the shipping process, but I don't care because I've wanted to get my hands on this guy. This one has everything in it, everything, and I mean it. Every single individual ingredient has been documented separately with clear information when it comes to water bath canning or pressure canning, and it has its times, and they are in writing in hard form that I can easily access whenever I need to. So tuna, smoked fish. Smoked fish is very interesting, okay, when it comes to doing the pressure canning for smoked fish as well. And we do smoked fish, so that's interesting to know. It's different times, but all your sauces and everything. But what I did like about this book more than anything is because of the individual ingredients are separated. So I can go to asparagus, for example, or I could go to peas, or I could have a look at something called vegetable soup. The vegetable soup is the one that I particularly wanted to have my hands specifically on, because this clearly states that I can use any vegetables of my choice. I can fill a jar with 50% solids, fill a jar with 50% liquid, whether that be chicken stock or a vegetable stock, water, or even a tomato-based like broth, and use that. So, and it gives me all my clear times for processing. So that for me, when it comes to making my own soups, was a bit of a game changer, and it made it me more comfortable to do the pressure canning of my own soups as well, from recipes that we've been using for many decades. So much happier doing it now that I've seen and I use these guidelines on a regular basis. All right, so that there is my number 1 favourite book. That there is my second favourite book. This here is definitely my third favourite book, which is my ball book, is my number 3. My number 4 might surprise people, but it's this one. This one is one of my favourite books that I do go to on a regular basis because it has some really good meal in a jar type of recipes in it. This one. And then that will be my number 5. Okay? So it gives you a few options for books, but 100% my Bible. Okay, out of all of the books that sit on the shelves, the one that I go to every single time I'm doing pressure canning or water bath canning is this guy. Okay, it's just easier. Between this book and our family recipe book with all of the times now written into it as I do all of my canning projects and preservation guides around the property, they are the main books that I use. Another big hint that I can give to all viewers that are doing pressure canning and water bath canning, and I've said this for some time now, is write the times on the lids that you are processing your foods for. If you are doing capsicum on a regular basis, more than one time, you will appreciate having the times written on the lid so that you're very aware when you start to do your pressure canner that you don't need to go and find a book or any information because you've done that research initially and you have found that the times are correct and you've written it onto your lids, as I have done. So my pressure canning times are written as a PC and the water bath canning times are written as WB for water bath. Makes it really simple. One other bit of advice, if you've got a pressure canner and a new pressure canner and you've got one of these guys, okay, it comes with the manual, it comes with the Presto canners. They are brilliant for the same reason. Individual times have been clearly documented, times for canning in pints or quarts. So there are some recipes that say you can only use a certain size jar when it comes to preserving the food, when it comes to pressure canning. Salmon would be an example that I just recently watched a video and it said that according to the Centre for Home Food Preservation, that they can only be pressure canned in pint-sized jars. I use half-pint jars and I've always done half-pint jars, but I do it for the same amount of time as you would do for a pint jar. Why they suggest you only do a pint jar, I guess, is because that is where the research is versus a quart, which is much larger. I personally couldn't eat a quart of salmon, nor could I eat a pint of salmon, so half pint works for me. Does that make me a rebel canner? Sorry if it does, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Alrighty, so this guy is another good option if you've bought yourself a new canner as well. So that's a few options for books. Alrighty, and the choice is up to you, which one it is that you prefer, which one you want to spend your money and part with. I personally would be saving my money and buying this guy. Alright, very easy to find. Type in so easy to preserve. Look for the Cooperative Extension of University of Georgia. There is an online version of this book or parts of this book. Every time I have gone to the website to look for something, I have had trouble finding it, or if I have been able to find it, the page has been discontinued or it's unavailable. It's got the 404 error for whatever reason. So I find it's much easier to just have the book in front of me. It makes it very simple for when we lose power, for example, and I need to start making preparations for what it is that I'm going to be pressure canning out of the freezer as soon as power is installed, or we can start saving some of the produce by pulling out the gas burners. But again, this is the kind of guides that you're going to find in these books. So an incredibly useful piece of equipment. This is probably one of the most useful pieces of equipment in the kitchen, second to the pressure canner itself, and then possibly to those two piston funnels behind me are 3 of my favourite pieces of equipment, which I'll do a segment of later on as well. I just thought it was important to share with you the different kinds of books that I've got and which ones are the most valuable to me. And this is the number 1. All right, guys, thanks very much for that. Bye now. Let me know in your comments if you've got a special favourite book that you like to use as well. I don't know. Books are a thing of the past. They're not often used anymore. People just go straight for the internet or they look up a video on YouTube. But to be perfectly honest, I think until you've got a researched and referenced article in front of you, I tend to prefer to, I don't mind watching, obviously, YouTube videos here and there to see what other people are doing. And quite often I have big red flags and alarm bells going off in my head, or I may begin to scream at a television when I see somebody doing something that is just, to me, so wrong. But I'm not a rebel canner. So I'm kind of I like to have some reputable information when it comes to doing pressure canning or water bath canning. Water bath canning is a lot more liberal than pressure canning. But that being said, we also have different types of water bath canners here in Australia also. So we either follow the Fowler's-Vacola method, and their method is very different to a method that you're just going to find in a book that will tell you to water bath something for 20 minutes, you know, from a rolling boil, for example, or not, or even still do the old-fashioned open kettle technique, which is no longer done. I've got a Amish and a Mennonite book as well, which I love as well, and I do follow a few of those recipes as well, just because I can. Alrighty, guys. Thanks very much for that. Bye now.